Kelly here, doing our lavender weekend here at Bath Garden Center. I'm going to try to scoot up a little bit so I'm not so far away. I'm out in our beautiful greenhouse. Typically we do a in-person lavender class, but unfortunately with social distancing and all, we've been forced to do things virtually. So my lavender classes in the past usually last a little bit longer. I usually go through a bunch of the different varieties of lavender that we carry here, how best to grow them. But this time around, I have some posts all weekend long on our Facebook page for you to check out with information on each variety that we have here and how to grow them. So check those posts out. Today I'm just going to talk briefly about how to plant lavender, how to take care of it, and different uses for lavender. So if you love lavender, give me a little thumbs up or a heart, some kind of emoji so I know. But lavender is one of our favorite perennials. It is so great for attracting pollinators. So it's great to plant anywhere at your house, in your gardens, or even around your vegetable gardens. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually attract pollinators, you know, the good guys, to your food crops, and they're going to help to produce more blooms, which will then produce more fruits and veggies on your crops. So having lavender around is great. Lavender, the Latin name is Lavandula. It is a genus of 47 known species, but there are about 450 actual varieties or cultivars. So there's a ton of different varieties out there. So how the heck do you know what to pick? Lavender belongs to the mint family, believe it or not, which also includes sage, oregano, and other fragrant herbs. It is found throughout the world. So many of us are familiar with the lavender in France, Provence. It is beautiful there. And you can really grow lavender in many different parts of the world. So I will tend to focus on our area of growing lavender because what grows well in Provence might not grow great here. So I'll give you some different pointers along the way. Lavender is also a culinary herb. It's an ornamental plant, and it's also used for essential oils, which have many different uses, which I'll talk a little bit about as well. So I will focus a lot on the Lavandula angustifolia, which is your true lavender, your English lavender, and some of the cultivars that I put up on our Facebook page, you'll see it'll say Lavandula, and then it'll have an X, and it'll say angustifolia, and then the variety name. So the Lavandula angustifolia is English lavender. If it's Lavandula Intermedia, it is a lavandin, it's a spike lavender. So Intermedia have a sharper, woodier fragrance, and they are used in detergents. The Spanish lavender, which we actually don't have any in stock here, Spanish lavender is not going to be hardy here. It is typically a zone 7, 8, 9. We are a zone 6. So it is beautiful. If you've seen Spanish lavender, it has the flower, and then it almost has like a little bloom coming up the top. So if you do get Spanish lavender, do not count on that coming back unless you're trying to bring it in your house. But you can use them as annuals as well. We typically talk about the perennial lavender that come back year after year. And you can have a lot of success with lavender. Your lavender plants can last 10, 15 years if you're taking care of them. So another thing with the Intermedia versus Lavandula angustifolia, the English lavender, is your Intermedia are going to bloom later, and they usually grow taller with more flowers. In this area, the Lavandula Intermedia tends to do pretty good. We also call that a spike lavender. So one of the most important things when you're planting lavender is your soil. If you can start out with a good soil base, pretty much with any of your plants, you'll be more successful in the long haul. So lavender are pretty easy. They like nice porous soil. So our soil around here is like a heavy clay. It holds a lot of moisture. Lavender they do not like that. They like more like a sandy, loamy soil, even a rocky soil. So a lot of people will add organic matter to their soil. They'll add rocks. You can add some stones. You can add peat moss, anything like that, to kind of amend your soil so that you can kind of keep the water off of the roots of the lavender. So when water clusters on the roots of the lavender, it can actually rot them out. And even at the base of the lavender plant, so if you're looking at the plant, moisture along right on the top, the soil level on the base can make your plant rot and die. You can prevent that also by keeping mulch away from your lavender if you have them in your beds. Maybe don't mulch around the lavender. Some people will actually put like a nice like white stone. The stones will help to keep the moisture away from the crown of the plant so that it does not rot out. You can do lavender in a container, and with any container gardening, if you're using perennials, so when we talk about perennials here at the Garden Center, a perennial is something that comes back year after year. We mean for it to be in the ground, so that's what it's based off of. If you're putting something in a container, it definitely changes the temperature that the roots are exposed to. So you might want to put it in a protected area, or bury the pot, in soil outside, or cover with leaves, or do something to protect it a little bit further. Because if you're using a perennial in a pot and we have a really crazy cold winter, which happens pretty much all the time except for this past year, you will freeze the roots. They won't come back. Not like when they come back in the ground. So keep that in mind if you are doing them in pots. The better draining the soil, the better you're gonna do. So throw some rocks on the bottom of your pot, then do your soil, and then you can even put a layer of rocks on the top just to keep the moisture off of the crown. Lavender loves sunshine. So the more sun you can give it, the better. You could plant it in the shade if you wanted to, especially with our hot, humid summers around here. But it would have to be getting some kind of light, filtered light, so to speak. So you're gonna have a much better success rate if you have it in full sun. So when I say full sun, that's like 6 to 8 hours of sun a day. As far as watering lavender, you want to water them infrequently, so not every day, not like our annual containers or our hanging baskets. When you do water lavender in the ground, you want to water it deeply. So what that means is maybe putting your hose on a slow trickle for 30 seconds to a minute and just letting it sit there and let the water kind of seep down, and then let your plant dry out. Roses kind of tend to be the same way. So if you're watering your roses, you're watering your lavender, maybe only a couple times a week. I personally have lavender in my flower beds and I don't water them at all. So they're established. So maybe that first year that you get your lavender, just to kind of get it to establish and set some nice deep roots, do a nice deep watering. When it comes to fertilizer, you don't really have to do a whole lot to lavender. They're pretty easy plants to maintain. So I typically will hit my plants with a fertilizer in the early spring to push some blooms, and that's pretty much it. And I have blooms on my lavender, through the whole summer, into the fall. They do prefer soils that are a pH between 7 and 8. So they like a sweeter soil, more alkaline. So you could use a lime if you wanted to, but you really don't have to do a whole lot when you plant your lavender, other than just making sure you have a nice porous soil that drains well. As far as trimming, so I typically do not trim my lavender at my house at all, but I just brought this one in. This is a phenomenal lavender. This was one that we had overwintered in our beds, and you can see, hopefully you can see, the new green growth here, and then this is like the old woody stems. So when you're trimming your lavender, you want to trim right at the top of your woody stems. You do not want to take your lavender all the way back down here. This can actually kill your lavender if you're cutting it all the way back really hard. So a lot of our perennials really benefit from giving haircuts, as we like to call it. So like your salvia. Salvia, once it's post bloom, you can hack that back all the way down to the ground and it'll flush new growth and new blooms. Lavender, you want to make sure you're leaving this woody stem. This is a woody plant. So you want to make sure you're leaving a lot of the woody stem. So what you can do is you can trim your lavender with some of this, the first new growth that comes out in the spring. If you're trying to keep your lavender really compact and more like, you know, a shrub, full shrub, you can trim it in the early spring before it even sets some of these blooms, and just give it a trim almost with a hedge trimmer. You can use your clippers and just trim it kind of right up the top. So it's kind of like taking off that top layer right down to the wood. And what that's going to do, it might look ugly for like a week or two. It's going to flush new blooms and kind of fill in all these empty spaces. Then once you have your beautiful lavender kind of near the end of the summer, you can actually harvest your lavender stalks, whether you're using it to dry or not even using it at all. You can actually cut these back down the same way, and then it'll flush new growth, and most likely you'll probably get more blooms again if the weather cooperates. So this is a lavender phenomenal. So this one does really great in our area. This was actually developed up in Easton, Pennsylvania by Peachtree Farms. That's one of our farms that we deal with that grows organic vegetables. So they came up with the Lavender Phenomenal. So I actually had this at my house. It does really great. And I really don't do a whole lot to it, honestly, like I had said. The other great thing about your lavenders is that most of them are deer resistant. Typically with a lot of our perennials that have some kind of a scent, like a fragrance or an interesting texture, your deer are gonna stay away. So lavender's a great one. I've never, knock on wood, never had deer. I live on a farm, never had the deer eat my lavender. So fingers crossed that keeps up. So let's talk a little bit about a couple of our, so I feature each of these on our Facebook page. This one right here, the Super Blues. So this is Lavandula angustifolia, so it's your English lavender. You can see it. It's a beautiful, beautiful plant, compact. This guy will get 12 to 18 inches by 12 to 18 inches, so it's going to stay small and compact, already blooming, and this goes down to zone 4. I want to say 4B. Zone 4, so zone 4 to 9. So what that means is that we're zone 6. So if it has zone 6 or lower, it's hardy for our zone. So this is zone 4, and I think all the other lavender that we carry are zone 5. So this can take even colder winters than the zone 5 plants. So if you're looking for one that can survive a really tough winter, Super Blue is your go-to. I have this one at my house as well. And then this one is called Sweet Romance. This is a Proven Winners. So Proven Winners is a great brand. They do a ton of testing on all of their plants, so you know if they put the proven winner label on it, it is a winner. So this is Sweet Romance. This is also a Lavandula angustifolia, so an English lavender, and similar in size to the Super Blues that I just talked about, and just going to be a nice compact plant. I also put a video from Laura from Garden Answer on our Facebook page. She's so good. She planted a whole hedge of these Sweet Romances at her house, and the second video I think has her trimming them with her hedge trimmers. So you can see she'll talk about the same thing, like consistent watering deep, and then not, letting them go and kind of letting them dry out. But some of the great parts of harvesting your lavender is then using it in your home and using it for different things. So one of the fun things we do for Lavender Weekend every year is we make a bunch of goodies. So this is kind of a little example of some lavender, dried lavender. This actually came from a farm over in Chester County, the Hidden Hollow Dried Lavender Farm, or Hidden Hollow Farm. This is a Lavender Intermedia Grasso. So this is a spike lavender, so similar to the phenomenal lavender I showed you before. For drying, the Intermedia is great because it has a much longer spike on it as opposed to your smaller English lavenders. The English lavenders, though, are going to be a little more fragrant. They use the English lavenders for essential oils and in a lot of perfumes and things. So I brought out a couple different things that we do here. So I have some little organic lavender, dried lavender in a bag so that you can use them in different recipes. I actually used them and made little soy wax candles. You can do bath salt, so you just take Epsom salt and you can put your dried lavender right in the Epsom salt. And then I always add a touch of some essential oils as well, because the essential oils are pure therapeutic grade, and there are just so many benefits to using lavender. Another thing that you could kind of do is when you harvest, just get one of these little muslin bags, and you can put bath salts in here, dried lavender, and then seal it up and just throw it in your bath. But you can, when you harvest your lavender, you can throw the old woody plant, all the little pieces of your lavender in here, and then just let it dry out in the sun. And then you can put this in like your underwear drawer, your sock drawer. You can give it as little gifts. So super cute idea, and a great way to use your harvests of your lavender. So your harvests are gonna then promote more blooms. So I also made some lavender linen spray. So this is super easy if you have essential oil, a handful of drops, and you can make any kind of sprays. A little bit of witch hazel and then water, and this will fill the room with a nice scent. You can spray your pillows with that. You can spray your clothes, your kids' clothes, to help them sleep. So I am going to read a little bit. So I always use the Young Living essential oils, and we have this awesome pocket reference. So this is going to tell you a couple differences between the Lavandin and English lavender. So there's just more therapeutic benefits to using the English lavender. So in this book, the Lavandula angustifolia lavender, it was first discovered in France to promote tissue regeneration and speed wound healing when the scientist burned his arm in a laboratory explosion. Today, lavender is one of the few essential oils to still be listed in the British Pharmacopoeia. Medical properties: it's antiseptic, antifungal, analgesic, antitumoral, anticonvulsant, vasodilating, relaxant, anti-inflammatory, reduces blood, fat, cholesterol, and combats excess sebum on skin. So there are so many different uses for lavender, from respiratory infections, high blood pressure, arterial sclerosis, menstrual problems, skin conditions, burns, hair loss, insomnia, and nervous tension. So there's just so much that you can use lavender for. In our essential oil stuff that we do, we refer to lavender as the Swiss Army knife, because it's something you never want to be without. If we ever have anything in our house with skin issues like itching, dryness, bug bites, like I always go to lavender, burns. And the lavender that we use is the Lavandula angustifolia. It's also great for calming and relaxing the mind. They've done studies of kids taking tests with lavender diffusing, and they've actually done better with lavender scent in the air. So then on the other side, you'll look at lavandin, which is the Lavandula Intermedia, the spike lavender. It is a hybrid plant developed by crossing our English lavender with spike lavender. And it has been used to sterilize animal cages in veterinary clinics and hospitals throughout Europe. Medical properties, it's antibacterial and antifungal. So the uses, lavandin is a stronger antiseptic than lavender. Its greater penetrating qualities make it well suited to help with respiratory, circulatory, and muscular conditions. However, its camphor content invalidates its use to soothe burns. So there's still use for Lavender Intermedia, the spike lavender, but you just don't get as much skin, as much of the benefits for your skin as if you're using an English lavender. So that's why Young Living has used the English lavender, 100% pure therapeutic grade oils in their lavender. And one of my favorite recipes that I do is I make a roller. I call it LLP. So especially this time of the year, everyone's allergies are going nuts. LLP is for your allergies, for seasonal support. And then I just roll this on whenever I need it. The beauty of using Young Living's essential oils is they actually have the Vitality line. So these can be ingested. The white label is Vitality oils, so they're FDA approved for consumption. Same oil in both of these containers, but this one does. It's not going to say on here to ingest. This one you can use this. I can actually make an allergy pill with lavender, lemon, and peppermint, and take it orally. This is what we use in our secret recipe for our lavender lemonade that we have outside. So we just get the Costco organic lemonade. You can make you can make lemonade from scratch if you like, but we just press the easy button. We get the organic lemonade, and then we do like 4 or 5 drops of this, and done. You can float some dried lavender in there if you like, but it makes it super easy just to whip up some lavender lemonade. I did post a recipe on our Facebook page. That's if you want to do it from scratch, and if you want to use your dried lavender that you cut off your plant. But you know, some of us just like to do things easy sometimes, and it's delicious. We get tons of compliments on it. So that is a pretty basic overview of some of the lavender and how to care for it, how to plant it, how to trim it. If you guys have any further questions, just post them here. I'm gonna repost this video so that you guys can go back to it if you didn't have a chance to watch it all. And I'll try to post it on YouTube too in case people don't have Facebook. So thank you so much for watching, and happy lavender weekend. Feel free to post any of your favorite recipes for lavender on our Facebook page. We love sharing. Thanks, guys.